The Baba Yaga has returned for what is probably the best installment in this franchise. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this. My name is Brandon Aries, and welcome to The Sanctuary. John Wick Chapter 4 was released in theaters last week. Here are my thoughts. I feel like action movies / shoot 'em ups are kind of a dying genre in film, though you have franchises like John Wick and Mission Impossible that kind of keep this genre afloat, while the rest of the industry is just remakes or reboots, superhero films, and some original ideas. Though the John Wick franchise is a franchise that I'm very pleased with in terms of its success. This was yet another film that was in my top 10 most anticipated films of 2023, only this one actually delivered. We're not going to talk about the other one. Honorable mention. Now it's a dishonorable mention. I was always a fan of the John Wick franchise. I loved John Wick 1. John Wick 2 was decent, and then I really liked John Wick 3. Now we have John Wick 4, and I'm very pleased. The John Wick franchise always finds new and exciting ways to bring such phenomenal action to the big screen. I mean, the first action scene had John Wick on a horse shooting people in the desert. Before I get into more of the movie, I wanted to talk about the cast. And with the cast, I wanted to start by talking about the loss of Lance Reddick, who played Karan in the John Wick movies. Such a great actor. I mean, I knew him originally from The Wire, and then the John Wick franchise came in, and he was one of my favorite parts of the game franchise known as Destiny. He was Commander Zavala. Just another great talent that was gone too soon. Another spoiler warning just in case, but it was sad seeing him pass on screen too. But also it still felt honorable, like as if he died doing what he loved. The attention to self-defense, combat, and weapon knowledge is always a staple in these films, and it never goes unnoticed with me. Like when they're reloading the guns, using different techniques in order to subdue or neutralize the enemy. And yet they find a way to still step that up movie to movie to movie. I especially like the mixed combat with guns and swords too. There was also a scene where John used nunchucks. Dang. I know you killed someone with a pencil, but now you're just whipping people with nunchucks? Baba Yaga is not playing. The choreography of each fight is like flawless. Some of the fights having longer takes where the camera stays on John Wick just really adds to the intensity and the immersion of all the bloodshed and the killing that goes on. Speaking of fighting and choreography, I wanted to give props to Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen played Kane, who was a blind assassin, and I thought this was a great choice to have him in this franchise. I think he fit right in, and you can see the Ip Man style that he uses in his combat. And it was also cool, that dynamic that him and John had throughout the film. Like, they're friends, but unfortunately throughout the business, like, they have to kill each other, but in the end they still are friends. They're brothers in arms. Keanu Reeves obviously killed it as John Wick, no pun intended. I thought Bill Skarsgård did a pretty decent job. I mean, it's still hard to see past him as Pennywise, but over the past 2 years he's really been proving me wrong with films like Barbarian and now John Wick Chapter 4. Another character that I feel like was underutilized and could possibly lead into like a future spin-off was the Tracker. The Tracker was a really interesting character with his dog. I love the fact that they implemented a nightclub action scene here. Nightclub action scenes screams John Wick Red Circle vibes. And now the big finale before the duel was insane. John's got nowhere to run as his bounty keeps getting higher and higher and higher, up to like 40 million. And he shows them that he won't back down. He will indeed kill them all. Also, what's a good John Wick movie without a muscle car chase scene? And the way they did that was just amazing. There's one shot in particular where you see him just doing donuts while killing people. It's so good. Though the real MVP of the film was the dog. The dog was jumping over cars and stuff just to kill people. If that doesn't scream loyal dog, I don't know what does. This film really brought out the big guns, or should I say the big bullets. They brought out incendiary rounds. People were catching on fire. On fire! Then the Red Circle song from the first film came on and I was like, oh, it's about to get real. And they had this one shot that was like from above where you see all the shooting in all the rooms as they enter and leave different rooms. And I don't know if it was like segmented takes or just one really long take. If it was one really long take, man, bravo. There's a scene in the final confrontation between the Tracker and John where one of the henchmen actually holds the dog at gunpoint and is about to shoot him. John sees that and he takes his gun off of the tracker and he shoots the guy that was about to kill the dog. I like that because it's a subtle nod to the first film, him losing his dog, and he doesn't want anybody else to feel that way. But it's not only that. To me, I like it because it showed that, yes, John is a killing machine, killed over 300 people across 4 films, but it shows that he still has a code. He still has boundaries that even he wouldn't cross. Now, I want to talk about the ending after the duel. When John is on the stairs, it felt very Cowboy Bebop-esque Spike Spiegel style. And the reason why I mention that is because Keanu has stated that he's a big fan of Cowboy Bebop. So, I mean, it could be a subtle nod, could not, I could be wrong. So the Baba Yaga is finally dead. Overall, I find this to be a perfect ending to the story and the journey of John Wick. Now, question is, do I want a sequel? No. This is a time where I am perfectly content with how the story ended, and I don't want another one to potentially ruin all that. Yes, I am aware that there is a potential 5th sequel in speculation, but for right now, that's all it is. Speculation. There are also 2 prequels in the works. You have Ballerina with Ana de Armas, and then a show on Prime Video, The Continental, which takes place in the 70s, showing the origin of the Continental and a younger Winston. But who knows when those will come out, or if John Wick will even appear in either of them. Every installment of this franchise felt like it was getting better and better and better, but now it's come to an end. So what's next? I think if this is the end, I'm going to be a little sad because my best friend and I still reference John Wick even to this day. Like, we'll come up to each other and we'll be like, oh, the Baba Yaga. Or it's like, it wasn't just any car, it was John Wick's car. I'm not sure what's in the future for John Wick or the franchise as a whole, but those are my thoughts on John Wick Chapter 4. Did you see it? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, please be sure to drop a like. It is always so much appreciated here in the Sanctuary. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button. And there is a notification bell for every week this lover boy pops up in your feed. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace.